Hello everybody, this is Grandmaster Damian Lemos for onlinechesslessons.net, and we'll start this Ivanchuk's video with this game against Graf. And okay, let's get started. Ivanchuk plays d4, black plays knight to f6, white plays c4, and here black plays e6. As you guys know, when black plays this move order, he's been flexible here. He can try playing a queen's gambit with d5. He can try playing in the Benoni fashion by playing c5. Or probably, he wants to play the Nimzo-Indian Defense by playing bishop b4, or the Queen's Indian by playing b6. I like, this move order employed by black because it's quite flexible. He's got a lot of options here. And white plays knight to c3. Here, we have a positional threat. We want to play e4, and we are already winning a lot of space in the center, so I like this. Black plays bishop to b4, and he plays the Nimzo. He could also play d5, and then we are playing the Queen's Gambit. When black plays the Nimzo-Indian Defense, his idea is he's basically trying to destroy our pawn structure here by taking on c3. And then we'll have to take back with the b pawn. For instance, if we play a3, bishop takes, pawn takes. Here as white, we have the bishop pair, but black's got a better pawn structure. As you can see here, our pawns are doubled up here, so there are a lot of variations where white allows bishop takes c3 check, but as white I also play queen c2 here, which is the Capablanca variation. The idea it's clear. As white, we are defending the knight on c3 with the queen. So if he goes like this, which is the main line by the way, we can play a3, and when he takes, we take on c3 with the queen. And the difference is, our center is still great, the pawn structure is great too. I mean, here we are protecting the pawn structure by not playing b takes c3. And of course here we have the bishop pair. This is the main line. Black is gonna have some counterplay too, because he's got more development, but okay. Here black plays c5, and he's attacking our center already. So we have to be extremely careful. I like d takes c5 here. We can also try defending our center by playing e3 or knight to f3, but that is, it's like we are losing the initiative a bit. We are defending only, So if we take, it's like we keep the aggressive mode, and we are not wasting any tempo. Here black castles. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to take here on c5 yet, because he can take later. I don't think we can defend this pawn on c5. We can just play a3. So black makes a decision here, and he's probably taking the pawn on c5. And now we go knight to f3. See here, it's quite simple. We are finishing our development. I think we have a nice center too with this pawn on c4. Maybe in the future white can try playing b4, and we win some space at queenside too. That would be very interesting. And well, here black plays d5, and he's creating some threats like taking on c4. Maybe he can try pushing d4 as well. So, you know, we have to be careful here. I think he can also try, for instance, playing queen b6, because then he's attacking the f2 pawn, and when we play e3, then the queen can go back home, like c7. And the thing is, now our bishop can't go to f4 or c5, because we had to play e3. This is an interesting maneuver in this position for black. We can always improve the bishop via b2, but you know, the thing is, here as white, our dream is, you know, playing bishop f4 or maybe bishop c5, and once our bishop is out, then we can play e3 to finish our development. And of course, we are not interested in playing something like this, because you know, he can put a lot of pressure on the f2 pawn, and it's really tough to defend this pawn later. So we play this, he plays d5, and well, here I guess we'll have an advantage, but we have to be extremely careful because black is attacking. However, his development is not great, so I like taking, and he takes back with the pawn. If he takes with the knight, well, this bishop on c5, it's kind of hanging here. I mean, he has to take back with the queen, and he has to lose more tempos here. I don't like this for black. He's losing too many tempos here. And our development, I mean, it's growing, so he takes back with the pawn, and here we have something to say from, you know, that positional point of view. We can see that the d5 pawn, it's isolated. This is what we call an isolated pawn, because you know, black can't defend d5 with other pawns. d5 can only be protected by pieces, and this is not great, you know. Towards the endgame, for instance, if you have an isolated pawn, this pawn is gonna be quite weak. So, you know, when you're playing a middle game and you're playing against the isolated, the best you can do is, you know, blockade this pawn and try putting some pressure on it. So white plays bishop to c5. This pin is annoying too. And black plays bishop to e6. Well, the question is, what happens if he plays something like d4? This looks aggressive and looks like we have to move our knight, but we can just take here. And well, if he takes with the pawn, he is obviously weakening his king. I don't think he wants to play like this. And if he takes back with the queen, then we play knight e4, and we have a double threat. I think we have, you know, almost a winning position here. He can't play bishop b4 check because we can just take. And being up a piece here, it's obviously too much, so here after bishop c5, he plays bishop e6, and now very strong move, rook d1. You know, e3 was fine as well, it's a decent move, but I like rook d1, because the difference is, you know, we are placing the rook in the same file as the queen, and this is too powerful. If he goes d4 again, I think we can just take on, you know, f6 again. It's the same trap, you know. If he takes with the pawn, then his king is just too weak, and if he takes back with the queen, then knight e4, I think it's winning again. We can see that, you know, this bishop on c5, it's hanging in so many lines for black. it would be okay, you know, if he tries to improve this bishop by moving this, you know, this bishop somewhere, because that bishop is hanging. And indeed, okay, he plays knight bd7. Okay, you know, he's also defending the bishop on c5 here. That makes a lot of sense. He's also connecting the knights. And here as white, you know, our king is still there. It's wise to play e3 and try finishing our development. When we play e3, we are also guarding the d4 square, so you know, this is under control. I like this. So we stop this isolated pawn. This pawn shouldn't advance. You know, on d5 it's already weak, and we should try putting more pressure here. That is our idea. He plays rook c8, and okay, here, you know, I like this game because, you know, here, let us say an average player, me too, you know, I would try moving my queen because, you know, he just played rook c8, and he's attacking our queen. You know, he's placing the rook in the same file as the queen. So maybe here we think, okay, maybe queen d2, or I don't know, queen b1, queen a4, trying to, you know, to get the queen out of c2. But Ivanchuk plays bishop d3, which is better, you know. Right now, you know, we don't see any threat here, and when we play bishop d3, we are creating a threat. I mean, if he goes something like a6, then we can just take on h7, check. He can't take back because then we just take the queen. So, you know, bishop d3, we are developing again, and we are creating a threat. I like this. Obviously, black saw this, and then he plays h6. He's attacking our bishop, and we play bishop to h4. Yeah, I mean, we can take on f6, but you know, this bishop on c5 happens to be a strong bishop here. There's no sense, you know, in offering our strong bishop yet. You have to remember that in open positions, bishops are better than knights. On the other hand, if you're playing a closed position, then the knights are better. But you know, this position, it's easy to see that, you know, we're playing an open position. We have open files here, we have open diagonals. It makes, you know, a lot of sense for us to keep our bishop pair with bishop h4. And here bishop c4, he's putting us, you know, to the test. Is this annoying for us? Well, maybe, you know. However, I don't think, you know, bishop takes f3 is that powerful here, because, you know, if he plays bishop takes knight, he's gonna give us his bishop pair, and that is gonna be helpful for us, because, you know, then we'll have the bishop pair and an open position. So I love this move. You know, we have a lot of threats here. We are looking at the rook on c8 too, and you know, if he takes here, we can just take back. Look at this, you know, the d5 pawn, it's under attack, knight on d7, it's under attack, so is the knight on f6. All his pieces are under a pin, you know, the d5 pawn placed on the d file, knight on f6 can't move, knight on d7 can't move either. What is more, I see the c file here, it's also opened, and this is gonna help our future attack, because you know, we have the bishops, and I think we have the right to attack here. I think I can also suggest here, I would say maybe castling, followed by king h1, and then we can place our rook on c1 too. And you know, our king on h1, it's gonna be safe as well. So this is pretty interesting. But yeah, black, he's not taking on f3. I think it's risky from the positional point of view. But you know, taking on f5, I don't think it's helping either, because we have the same threats. But yeah, black, he played this because he saw bishop takes a3 here. And well, if you look at this, yeah, looks like black, he's winning a pawn. But you know, at what price? I mean, yeah, if we take the bishop, he's gonna take back, and then we don't have the knight takes d5 chance as we had before. You know, our king is still in the center, and he can probably take an extra pawn here on a3. And well, maybe we can consider taking on d5. Probably, you know, I guess here black saw this move coming, queen a5. And here we see one of the drawbacks of having our king in the center. You know, this check, it's quite powerful. He's getting out of this pin. And the problem is, you know, our queen on f5, it's also hanging. I mean, if we play something like this, he can just take our queen. And of course here we are losing. So, you know, this bishop takes a3, it's quite tricky. But here we see how Ivanchuk plays. He plays, you know, looks simple, but you know, when you play a game, it's not that simple. We castle here, ignoring all the threats. The bishop is still under attack, but the key is he can't stop us from playing knight takes d5 here, because we just put our king in safety. I mean, a move like queen a5 here is not making any sense now. So black decides to take an extra pawn on b2, and we just play a knight takes d5. See, we are down a pawn here, but look at our pieces. Our bishop is spinning the knight on f6. The knight on d7, it's under attack as well, you know. It's like covering the queen. It's defending the knight on f6. And it's overloaded, you know, because, yeah, it's, you know, like protecting the queen on the d file, but yeah, it's also defending this knight. It's overloaded. And we have ton of threats here. Black decides to get out of the d file. This makes a lot of sense. But then white plays bishop takes f6. Black plays knight takes. I guess you're asking why not bishop takes? Because if knight takes, then knight takes, and suddenly black survives with 2 extra pawns and no weaknesses. But after bishop takes f6, here we have a tactic, of course. We have a rook on the d file, we have a queen here. You know, according to logic, we should have something. And this something is queen takes d7. We are winning the knight when he gets our queen. You know, the d file it's open. So we give a check. And when he takes, we play rook takes. And we are up a piece here. I think it's quite easy. He's got 2 pawns at queenside, but they are still on, you know, the starting position. They are quite easy to stop. We have a rook on the 7th rank too, plus knight d4, knight f5, or knight d4, knight b5. We have a lot of ways of winning this. I don't think black has enough counterplay there. You know, he can't take with the bishop, then queen takes d7, it's just winning. But after knight takes f6, you know, as we had a strong attack, and black's coordination on the 1st rank was not powerful. Here we have this queen takes c8, and well, after this queen takes, then knight e7 check. We are not winning an entire piece, but you know, we are winning this change, which is a lot actually. In this kind of endgames, I think it's winning, you know. All we have to do here is, you know, get our pawn back, and then our advantage is gonna be clear. For instance, here, if he moves the bishop, then we just play rook takes b7. We are getting our pawn back, and we are probably winning more pawns We are absolutely winning here. But he tries rook c2, placing the rook in the second rank and maybe, you know, creating some counterplay. But, you know, rook d1. I like this move. We put the other rook, you know, we bring this rook to the game. Actually, you know, we are also trying to play, for instance, if he plays, you know, whatever, something like h5. This is our idea, you know, we just want to get rid of this rook on c2. So then we can just take, you know, the b7 pawn in the future. By, you know, trading some pieces off, it's helping us. When you have extra material, all you have to do is, you know, trade pieces off. But he plays knight e4. Basically he's stopping rook d2. And he's also attacking this pawn, but, you know, as simple as this, Ivanchuk plays with a great technique here, playing knight e1, attacking this rook on c2. If he takes, then knight to d3, you know, it's doing it. Attacking the rook on f2 and the bishop on b2. Quite simple. Then we are up a piece there. So here, yeah, black tries this. Then the simple knight to d3. We don't have to play this, because then rook takes f2, it's a check. This was black's idea actually, I think. But if we play knight d3, we attack this bishop on b2 and we also defend this. This should be enough. In fact, now we take the pawn on b7, so black could resign here, but okay, he tries, you know, his last chance, this passed pawn, you know. But we keep on taking pawns. When he plays a4, then we just stop it by playing rook a7, rook a2, knight to b4. Well, then he tries knight takes f2. Okay, yeah, because if he moves the rook again, you know, we can strongly consider playing rook takes a4. Well, we have to be careful though, you know, he can play knight c3. Maybe not right here, but you know, I guess, well, maybe knight to d5. Yeah, I think this is better because we threat this bishop and then we can take this pawn. Yeah, obviously much better. Rook takes a4, it's actually a huge mistake here, because then black gets enough counterplay after knight c3. But he tries this knight takes f2. I think black's idea, you know, it's based on knight takes, rook takes, and then knight takes e3. And despite being an exchange down, we have, you know, 2 against 2 on the same side of the board. Maybe he's got some drawing chances here. But, you know, after knight takes f2 here, I love this rook f1. Now we have a double threat again. And he's running out of moves here. Rook b2, rook takes f2, and here black resigns. Because, well, if he takes the rook, then we are just a rook up here after king takes. And if he plays rook takes b4, we are also winning because we play rook takes f6. Here we realize the g7 pawn is under a pin, so here we are up a rook. Then we just take the a4 pawn and we are winning. So this was, you know, the introduction to this DVD. I hope you enjoyed this. You know, it was a nice game from the positional point of view. We had some tactics too, but I like the way, you know, how easy Ivanchuk played, you know, in the complications. So again, you know, I hope you enjoyed this, and we're gonna continue analyzing in next games. Thank you.